This is Wrestlezone Weekly. I'm Joe Dombrowski, and I'm joined by somebody who, if I were Gene Okerlund, I would say is my very dear, close, personal, longtime friend. I've known you for, what, off and on, 9-10 years now?
Oh,
I love that I didn't even introduce you yet, so you could be anybody doing this.
Right, I could be the Nature Boy Ric Flair, but I am the man formerly known as, well, still known as the Promise Antonio Thomas.
I know you as Promise Antonio Thomas. You'll always be Antonio Thomas in my heart.
Yeah, 9 years, I think. Norm Connors, IWC
in Pittsburgh. You and Romeo came in, did the Heartthrob deal.
Yep.
I think that would be probably your biggest claim to fame on a national and certainly global level. I got turned on to you through watching the precursor to the Heartthrobs, the Heartbreakers in OVW.
Yeah, much better than the Heartthrobs.
I had friends forcing me to watch footage of video montages and you guys just in shopping malls being idiots and
the complete fucking opposite of like what the fuck? I'm in a.
We don't gotta get so hot about it and swear all the time.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm like, yeah, the complete opposite of me, but we had fun with it. And
talk about not to cut you off, but talk about the Heartbreakers in just one sentence, one soundbite, and then tell us why you feel the Heartthrobs didn't transition.
The Heartbreakers were like a psychedelic, cartoon Muppet characters come to life in a wrestling ring, and if you were under the influence of anything, it would make it even that much better. You're like, what the hell is going on here? And then in everything that got us over in OVW and had 10-year-old kids dressing up in boas was kind of taken away, and our balls were kind of cut off on the main roster, and we kind of had to flip everything that we were doing. You know, we were playing quarterback in OVW,
right?
And then we got called up, and then all of a sudden it's, no, you can't play quarterback. You have to try to be yourselves, but we're going to have you play free safety or linebacker.
Would it be safe to say you were kind of regulated to very one-dimensional caricatures at that point?
Yeah, we didn't know what they wanted us to be. Do you want us to be the Heartbreakers? Do you want us to be ourselves, which was just a cocky, arrogant, douchebag, heel team?
Right.
So yeah, we didn't really know. So we just went with what got us there. And
do you notice any? There's a ruckus behind us. That was Road Warrior Animal leaving the building. If anybody's curious.
And the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh man,
he's Brooklyn Brawler. They're out of here. He just did his match.
Brawler was literally in the ring when we started this interview, so he made good time.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Brawler will not be interviewed on this week's installment.
But actually filming this pre-tape.
It was a bit one-dimensional, and it wasn't the opportunity for you guys to really excel and be yourselves. Now, I'm assuming you still keep up on the product today quite a bit. Do you notice maybe a little bit of sympathy pains or similarities between some of these guys that get hot in NXT but aren't connecting on Raw or SmackDown?
Oh, absolutely. I don't watch much current stuff. I watch. I keep up and I know everything that's going on, but I don't watch a lot of TV to begin with, and when I do, it's usually sports. But I keep up with everything that's going on, and like somebody like Adam Rose, I totally have feelings for. Someone like Dana Brooke, where where we had both of those, where we were called up and were beyond green, like we were greener than green when we got called up. We were prepared, but we weren't ready. And back, 9, 10, 11 years ago, there were so many people from OVW getting called up, and it was sink or swim. Now it seems if you get called up, like a guy like Tyler Breeze, who I can relate to as well, where you get called up and just done nothing right, you know, immediately. Just kind of.
But how do we fix that though? Is it the writing?
I don't.
Is it just? Is it small pond to big pond? What?
I'm envious. These guys are so much luckier because they have more leeway. Like instead of, we were very fortunate enough to get just under a year there on Raw. Nowadays, guys, they don't release guys like they used to. I mean, Matt Morgan got called up and then released 3 months later. You know, Kazarni did one show, you know, one TV appearance and then was gone. And it's Eric Escobar, guys like that, guys who could work and guys had something to bring. They just don't. I don't know what goes on there, but it's a very simple formula that Paul Heyman is known for back in ECW. It's getting the most out of what each specific talent's strengths are and minimizing their weaknesses. And I don't think they do that enough. You know, I'm glad Uhaa Nation is making a very good living, but man, come on. Do something with the guy. I mean, he's so freaking talented. You know, I feel for someone like Dana Brooke who was called up has been wrestling a year and, you know, is out there live on the fly, you know.
Right.
And so I have a lot of empathy towards him. And someone like Adam Rose, where you want to be known as something else and you kind of want to get away from the gimmick you were there. I totally empathize with somebody like that.
Well, I think you've done, and we'll get to present day in a minute, but in the years following WWE, you did a great job of, in a way, reinventing yourself. I think you really hit a stride. I think physically, in recent years, you've been at a peak. I think as a performer, as a serious performer, well-rounded, bell-to-bell type worker, much better than you were in the WWE era. And let's put a spotlight on that. Talk about some of maybe the matches or moments that you're proud of on the independent scene, and what's next for Antonio Thomas. We'll segue that into the present day. When I got signed to WWE, I knew how to go in and have a match. I could go in on the fly and know your finish and whatnot, but I was very homogenized. I had not gotten a chance. I did the Indies for 2 years in the Northeast, but I had never learned other styles. And my career has kind of gone in reverse, where it's like you get to WWE so quickly and then it's like, oh shit, I'm here. But I always wanted to go to Ring of Honor first. Music and culture, I've always been kind of an underground, against the grain kind of guy. So like Ring of Honor, the Super 8, all that stuff was important to me. And then that's why getting to Japan, going to England, traveling the world and becoming a well-rounded wrestler is what that was a little girl interrupting us that time.
Yeah.
Slightly different than Animal.
She just finished her match as well. So we've been here for 2 matches.
She wrestled Diamond Lil. If you get that reference, God bless you.
So yeah, it's been, aside from some shows for Chikara a few years back, I never did the gimmick. I wanted to get away from the Heartbreakers, Heartthrob gimmick and wanted to know, hey, look, I can work. This was something I played, which was the total opposite of me, and it took me a while to even get a look by a Ring of Honor to get an opportunity to go to Japan, where I pretty much started over and started as a young boy and worked for All Japan for a few years and then just going to Puerto Rico, going to England and trying to make a name on the indies and reinventing myself, and that's having that freedom to be more than a homogenized character that goes in and wrestles for 5 minutes, So that's always been my thing. I don't know, man. I don't even have merchandise now, which just sounds horrible. I've always been about the respect of my peers. I want nothing more than to have a good match and a safe match for my opponent and for the fans, and to come back and, hey, that, have the promoter or your boss or whoever say, man, that was great, pat you on the back. And the respect of your peers is what really,
We're now being interrupted by a car alarm. I just like everybody to know. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. But when it comes to present day, it looks like Antonio Thomas is bringing out a little bit of a different side of his personality a little bit. Talk to me about what I saw in the ring earlier tonight here at the historic Jaffa here in Altoona.
Yeah, Thomas Santel, which is pretty much a George McFly type persona. After 14 years, last year and a half ago, running my own, wrestling gym for 5 years and just getting burnt out from wrestling. I had and have a good career outside of wrestling, being a teacher and now working with special needs kids. I'm an adaptive PE and health teacher. So I wanted to focus on that and finishing out my master's. And everybody would say I resemble George McFly because of my hair. And then I did a show here at Big Time Wrestling a year ago, and the fans were chanting McFly, and the promoter is a huge Back to the Future fan, and I just said, you know what, F it. I'm going to go with it and try it and not be myself and try to reinvent myself again, and which is something you have to do in wrestling. And being Antonio Tom, going out through that curtain and just being me, dude in boots and tights and a good technical wrestler. There's a million guys like that. I needed something that I had fun doing and I look forward to doing, and that was this. And
well, where do you want to go with this? Do you have goals of maybe taking this to Japan or another TV run?
Yes. I want to. There's a lot that I haven't accomplished, and it's crazy because my body feels better now. I've kept myself in good shape. My body feels better now than when I got into wrestling, which is ridiculous. And nothing good comes from bumping and from wrestling as far as your body going. Your body usually is not gonna, your physical state is not gonna improve from wrestling. But there's so much more that I know that I can accomplish. And I always wanted to be not an indie darling, but I always wanted to do, like, as I said, the Ring of Honors, which I had the chance to do the PWGs and do the be like not to that level obviously, but be like a Colt Cabana, be like an independent name, and certainly go overseas and go back overseas and do all that stuff. I watched the Cruiserweight Classic. I don't watch a lot, but I made it a point to watch the Cruiserweight Classic, and that invigorated me because it, being a guy that's under 200 pounds, and seeing there's so much great talent there, but there are some guys who are like, I can hang with all those guys. I've wrestled and worked with a lot of those guys, and there's some guys there, nothing against them, but I know that I'm better than, and there's it kind of reinvigorated me in doing this character, and I don't need to wrestle and leave my couch. Life is good outside of wrestling, but I have the best of both worlds now, where it's fun, and I get nervous before matches. I get antsy. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Why? I've been in Madison Square Garden and in the Staples Center, around the pay-per-views, and it's like I'm more nervous now. I don't know, maybe because I missed it and I'm excited again for wrestling.
Yeah, maybe you missed it. Maybe the puzzle pieces took a while to fall into place. Maybe a little combination of which.
It did, and it's one of those things. The best things happen kind of by accident, and you can't force it. It didn't force this, and it's gotten over. There's a lot of ways you can do it for a casual crowd, for a hardcore crowd. Heel, baby, and that's the great thing. It's so far it's come at the perfect time, because now I have 15 years of going around the world and working most every kind of style except for having gone to Mexico. And now I can put it together where, hey, maybe this will take off. I would love to take this national or to TV or around to these, the top indie promotions. And there's so many ways you can work with it. Serious comedy. Well, I have an amateur background. I 4 or 5 times a week I do catch amateur wrestling and jiu-jitsu as well as kickboxing and whatnot, which is something that has also added. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that hadn't added 5 years ago. That didn't start to add a huge piece of the puzzle to how I wrestle in the ring and how I work in the ring, but in a safe, realistic fashion.
That's what's key, and I think it's great that you're always evolving, always progressing. And where can we follow this journey moving forward here on social media with you?
At Promise Thomas on Twitter. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram.
Oh darn!
I know. I got to start.
How will we know what your food looks like if you don't get Snapchat or maybe Instagram?
I honestly don't know. I guess I kind of know what Snapchat is, but I don't have a Facebook page. I have a personal Facebook page, which is somehow morphed into a lot of half wrestling, half personal page.
So we're looking at Promise Thomas.
At Promise Thomas
on Twitter, and I think it's great that not only are you wrestling at the top of your game right now, but the most important thing is you're doing it on your terms, and that's a great thing.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your hard work through the years in the wrestling business.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
Pretty fascinating talk with Antonio Thomas. We went a little bit over on time, so I'll make this real quick. My website is joe-dombrowski.com. Catch me this Saturday, IWC Wrestling, Elizabeth, PA, IWCWrestling.com. I'll see you next week with another Wrestlezone Weekly Road Report.